welcome back to the Spider's Web, and in front of you you can see the wrestling figures from Rumbleslam. We have the two orcs, all been primed and cleaned up for the most part. Still see a couple of areas that need a bit of attention. Now I've got my glasses on and I can see what I'm doing. They will be done as and when, but yeah, as I said, we've got the two orcs, we've got the two goblins, look a lot different now. We've got the two human fighters and the two halflings. Now all I've done with these is I've fitted them to some MDF bases just by a little dab of super glue, just while I paint them. So they're not going to be kept on these because obviously you get the clear bases with the game itself. But I've just noticed something on this halfling. There's still a little bit of flashing on here which needs to be removed. I did these last night while watching some YouTube videos. I didn't quite get everything off that I wanted to, but that serves me right for trying to do it with insufficient light. But there we are. We'll get off as much as we can now. Just gently scraping. I'm not going heavy-handed with this. You don't necessarily need to take every... Oh, sorry, I'll start that again. Not everywhere needs to be covered in the primer, as long as there is something for most of the paint to stick to. It will work. That looks a little bit untidy. It's supposed to be bird chested, but there's that. Not a very pleasant looking angular bit there. Same there. Okay, that should do it, I think. These aren't going to be my main gaming figures for this game. I will be getting more teams for this. These are just going to be the ones that I use to learn the game, so I'm not really too fussed about painting these ones up to a dramatic standard. I'm more interested in just getting them painted and then they look okay for playing with. Should do the trick. Okay, so we'll put them away now and we'll start the paint job. So for these ones I'm going to use Ungor Flesh, which, as you know, is a citadel colour, as you can tell. Just a little bit of that. We don't need a great deal because these are not massive minis. And there's not much of this left. In fact, I'm just... that will do because it'll work for what you call it, shading, not highlighting afterwards. So both of these chappies are going to get the same skin tone colour. So very thin coat all over the skin areas. In fact, you could actually cover it with this, which I think I will do, just because it's easier, and we can pick out, if you do it thin enough, you're not going to block out any detail. Oh, here we go. I was wondering when that was going to happen. I've not had a phone call while I've been painting for a long time, but I'll decline that one. Just for the sake of carrying on with the video. And oh heck, she's not me. I thought I had this set so things like this wouldn't affect the microphone, but never mind. I don't know why it's decided to ignore that setup, but never mind. So we'll just carry on. Painting this. Now, as you can see from this, they're not the halflings from Lord of the Rings, they're not the hobbits, because they don't have hairy feet. But if you wanted to, you could always do a paint job on them so that they look as though they do have hairy feet. This looks a little bit... this doesn't look quite right, bear with me. That's better. Let's put a little bit of a, what you call it, oh, what's the word I'm looking for? A little bit of a file down with a little bit of, well, with an emery board, actually. They're softer than metal files. So we'll do that for him and him, and with the human fighters we'll go on to a different what's the word I'm looking for? Go on to a different shade, or flesh shade, or flesh tone shade rather. As I say, it's just a case of getting paint on the minis at the moment. I'm going to do these as, you know, I'm not going to cut corners just because these aren't my main characters, because I do intend to use them, but I'm not going to I don't know what I'm actually trying to say here. I am going to do as good a job as I can do with them, but these are going to be quite speedily done, as it were. I'm going to take more care and patience with other minis that I have, the ones I particularly want to use. So these are basically going to be slightly speed painted. So I'll probably get base coat, wash, and one, possibly two highlights. There we go. This actually reminds me of somebody, and I can't think who. As you can see, I'm not really bothered about going over the clothing or the wristbands or anything, because we're going to be going over that in a darker colour anyway. So, you know, there's no real point of stressing about that kind of thing. And the reason I'm putting the it's there. I'm going to say I couldn't find the brush that I usually use to put paint on the palette, which is why I use that brush itself. For the human fighters, we're going to be using Kislev flesh. Now, obviously, I'm not going to be showing repeated steps in this. So once I've done one, I'll fast forward through the second one, especially when the minis get bigger. The halflings, I don't think it's going to make much difference, but with anything like these, which are bigger minis, it will take a little bit more time. I'll do one and then I'll whisk through the second. I just want to show you what I'm doing. In fact, once you've seen one mini painted, basically you've seen them all, but the situation is I want to show you different minis that I'm painting, what kind of colours I'm going to use, and that kind of thing. And as you can see, I'm using a very, very, very watery colour on these, because I don't particularly want any of this nice detail to be drowned out with colour, or drowned out with paint rather, not colour. So we're going very watery with these colours at the moment. Once we've got the base colour on and it's a nice even coat, we'll come back then and give it all a wash. Let's just zoom in a little bit, because I don't think you're actually seeing as much as you could. And I really should have done that with the halflings, because they're smaller than these, but never mind. So if I just go over every part of the flesh, and then come along with other colours that will go for the boots and the shorts, gloves, if any of the minis are wearing them. So it's making sure every area of skin is covered. Just a bit on the face, that needs going over again. There we are. And the final choppy. Let's say I'll whisk through this. Mind you, there's not as much flesh on show with this fella, because he's wearing one of those leotard things, and he's also wearing gloves. So The thing that kind of irritated me about this is the fact that the supports, well, I'm saying supports, I don't know what else to call them, the long, you know, the bit where the resin was injected or used as like scaffolding for, I don't know how these were made, I don't know whether they were injection moulded or 3D printed, but those like one sticks coming out from the hands, and that's where there's some fine detail on the fingers, and I couldn't, once you start filing that down and cutting it off, there's no way of keeping that detail, unfortunately. Now I know with some, what's that? Is that a hole? I didn't see that first. If that's a hole, I will have to sort that out later on. Unless the paint, put a lot of paint in it, hopefully it covers it up. There we are. So we've lost some, as I said, we've lost some detail on the fingers. So where the support things were linked on, because if you remember back to the unboxing video that I did, there was like long pieces of resin stuck onto them in those particular areas. Now I am hoping that these are 3D printed, to be honest with you. I'm not sure, because of all the flashing I've not seen any 3D prints, and the ones I have seen have been after the clear up process. It just needs a little. Yes, I've pinched one of Ali's emery boards, so don't tell her. Yeah, I'm not quite sure as to whether or not, as I said, they are 3D printed or whether they're injection moulded, because I've never actually seen a 3D print straight out of the printer, so I don't know whether you get on the flashing as well. If you do, then fair enough, but you associate flashing with moulded minis. And I was quite surprised when I got these that they're all in one piece, because earlier versions of this have said that there is some assembly to them. So I'm assuming that as the versions of this game have gone on, they've improved the minis in such a way that they can be done in one piece. So that's why I'm thinking they may be 3D printed, because they're all in one piece, but I don't know for certain. Yes, that is a hole, so I'm going to fill that. And I've got some of my little plastic putty thing here, so I'm just going to pop that, a little bit of that onto the hole there, and put the lid back on. I didn't see that. And I'll let that dry before I do anything else. Now, I was going to do these and wash, but seeing as I've put that, in fact, what I could do is put some more of this out and go over the first wrestler again, because he's looking a little bit washed out, the colour, so I don't want him to, I want it to be an even coverage, and that's not how he's looking here at the moment. So let's just go back over him here. So that's that done. Anyway, as I was saying, I was expecting to just do the flesh tones first and then give them a wash, but in fact I could give it a wash, couldn't I really? I'm just going to get my CD palette. I can give the first lot a wash anyway, so I'm going to put some Army Painter Flesh Wash on here. It's one of the quick shade things, and we'll just go over the halflings. That's the word I was looking for. Now I'll go over the halflings with this. Looking really good. So I don't think I'll need much more in the line of washing for these, although that looks a little bit flat there. I'm just hoping I'm just going to add just a little bit more to the face because it's looking a little pale. I think it's more the fact that this is a slightly darker paint than the ones I did for the human characters.